What's good, everybody? It's been Big Dom coming live at you, another True Players podcast episode tonight. I promised you guys a podcast right after our podcast from Sunday, and guess what? We got something big to talk about. I didn't even have time to write my notes about the podcast because the news that came in this morning from Jets camp as Joe Douglas is fired as New York Jets GM. After 6 years of no playoffs, under 500 record, he has been removed from his position as New York Jets GM. Now, I've read plenty of different posts this morning about possible replacements and how, the Jets should hire a team president, which I'm in total agreement about that. I wish I could quote the person who actually posted it this morning about possibly having Curtismartin as team president of the Jets. I'm not sure if it was WFAN or Joe Bodingo. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to take credit off this. But I want to expand on it and what this could do for the New York Jets franchise if we bring in a guy like Curtismartin, a proven winner, a guy who's played in playoff games for both the Jets and the Patriots, a guy that knows winning football, a guy who still has connects within the NFL, who is also aspiring to be a part owner of a team. What a good person to bring into the New York Jets and bring some type of respectability back to the franchise, probably for the first time ever. There wouldn't be no same old Jets, wouldn't be all that nonsense about people wearing paper bags at the stadium. You know what I'm saying, over their heads. But people, I know you guys understand. A lot of you Jet fans who know the Jets very well. Not the guys that's on a million Jet fans on group on Facebook who don't know. I think majority don't know shit about football. But to think that, you guys remember, Woody Johnson did not hire Joe Douglas. It was his brother that hired him. Okay. Woody Johnson did not hire Robertsaleh. That was his brother who hired him. So I am actually shocked it took this long for Woody to make the move to remove them from their posts. Woody, when he came back from Great Britain off his ambassador tour, he inherited Joe Douglas and Robertsaleh as his head coach as well as GM. He inherited those guys. So basically he had no loyalty to them. But let's call a spade a spade. Did Joe Douglas have some nice draft picks? He picked up Garrett Wilson. And he definitely drafted Ahmad Gardner, because I'm not going to call him Sauce. He's not those Sauce. He don't deserve no nicknames. His name is Ahmad Gardner until he plays better. And who knows? He may not even be on the team after this season because of his poor play. But I'll get to that. I'll get back to that recap of that game that the Jets should not have lost. Should not have lost that game against the Colts. Another game they gave away this season. But let's get back to Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas was brought here from Baltimore, right, with a background in offensive line play. He has missed on nearly all his draft picks for the offensive line. We don't know what Fashanu is going to look like in the next couple of years, but we have to give him an opportunity to see what he can do. But I'm quite sure he may not miss on this one. He may not miss on this offensive line, but he did miss on a few. Miss on a few draft picks. Zach Wilson will always be his nail in his coffin. The inability of that kid to produce what he was supposed to produce as a second pick in the first round. You know what, Woody, as an owner, I'm gonna put myself in Woody's shoes, which I'm not Woody Johnson. I wouldn't have done half the things he has done as owner for the New York Jets. First of all, you're a $1 billion baby that made his money. His family made money of baby shampoo and baby powder, right? You took over ownership of a team. You want to put the team in Manhattan, which in Dolan, that's Dolan's country. You were never going to get that stadium. Never going to get that stadium. But why not pivot over to put the stadium somewhere in New York? Instead, you decided to go on a joint venture with the New York Giants to build MetLife Stadium, which the turf is trash. You lost your quarterback last year because of that turf. How many players got hurt on that turf over the past few years alone, mostly on Achilles injuries on that field? You had the opportunity to put the team in Queens. You chose not to. I guess you thought Queens wasn't flashy enough, but it was flashy enough for the New York Mets. Ask Steve Cohen how Queens is right now. Team just came off a Game 6 of the National League Championship Series. Arthur Ashe Stadium is getting expanded. And there's still room in that area in Corona, Queens for a football stadium. There's still got room there. People want to talk about curses, Joe Namath curse, and all that stuff. But how many times have you guys watched me on the podcast? And I said, the Jets will never go to a Super Bowl as long as they share a stadium with the New York Giants. How many times have I said that on my podcast over the 6 years I've been doing this? How many times have I said that? Why is this owner not getting it? But I'll tell you one thing. The ownership has to take, the owner, Woody Johnson, has to take ownership of the failed season as well. You shouldn't have never fired Robert Saleh. Even though that was your plan from the beginning, I was kind of lukewarm about it because the Jets were 2-3. Still had enough season left to turn around. You fire the coach, then the whole defense goes down the drain right after that. The so-called top 5 defense mailed it in. And I like what DJ Reed said during the press conference. I like what he said. The loss was on the defense, but I'm also scared because maybe DJ Reed is trying to get himself out of town. He is a free agent after this season, and this Jets team may end up having to draft cornerbacks in this year's draft. You know. But make no mistake about it, Joe Douglas did not do a good job. And I don't care what anybody tells me. Oh, he drafted Garrett Wilson. He drafted Ahmad Gardner. I don't care about that because a GM and a head coach is only rated by wins and losses and playoff appearances. Compared to him, to Mike Tannenbaum has a much more successful track record than Joe Douglas. Two AFC Championship games. Playoff wins. He was the general manager of playoff wins against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady on back-to-back playoff weeks. Joe Douglas cannot claim that. You know, he cannot claim that. So I don't want anybody, especially in the million Jets fans group or whatever you want to call them, ever come out. When I say Tim Mike Tannenbaum was a better GM, don't you ever come out your face say that he was not better than Joe Douglas. Mike Tannenbaum as a GM has 3 playoff appearances. 2 with the Jets, 1 with Miami. Don't sit there and tell me he's not better than Joe Douglas as far as production and productivity and success. As a GM, Mike Tannenbaum is hands down way above Joe Douglas right now. Hands down. What probably prompted this firing right now is probably because there's been rumors out there that Joe Douglas was planning to leave anyway to go back to Baltimore. That most likely did not make the owner happy. If I was the owner of the team, I would not be happy about hearing those type of rumors about my GM. Already planning to get out of Dodge. This is the errors of Joe Douglas. He sabotaged Sam Darnold. Did not give Sam Darnold any weapons or an offensive line because that wasn't the quarterback he drafted. Okay, I don't know who was behind the Zach Wilson draft. That was a big mistake. I don't care if it's the owner or if it's Joe Douglas in that. That was a bad move. That was a fucking bad move. Could have dropped down the draft, get multiple draft picks, and then rebuild that offensive line and get more players. That would have probably produced better than what Zach Wilson has given you over the past 3 years. Or you could have just drafted Justin Fields. Would have thought. What has to piss off Woody Johnson is watching in Minnesota Sam Darnold, number 3 pick in the 2018 draft, finally find his legs, his wits in playing NFL quarterback. Around great coaching. He had some subpar games with Minnesota Vikings, but he didn't cost them the game. The Vikings are 7-2 with Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback. The Jets are 3-8 with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback. Hall of Fame, Aaron Rodgers. He is going to the Hall of Fame, guys. He was that good. But now this is the dilemma that the new GM, the new regime has come back in and deal with now, because if you cut Aaron Rodgers, or if Aaron Rodgers requests a trade or retires, he's going to hit you with a $90 million cap hit. So you have no choice but to bring back Aaron Rodgers for next season if he decides to play. You have no choice in the matter. And this is an uphill battle for the New York Jets, because who in their right mind would want to take this job as New York Jets GM? I know I would, because it'd be better paying than what I'm getting right now. I would love to do that. Give me I'm just a neophyte. I just know I may have to get a capologist. I may have to hire McTanaman to be my capologist. And then interview Mike Vrabel or Rex Ryan or John Gruden. Someone that I'm not going to deal with no brand new coordinators or hot shot coordinators to take over the team. Who knows? Maybe you may have to bring in Mike McCarthy for Aaron Rodgers' last season. You never know. That's probably the least I would do. If you guys ever heard me on the podcast, the first thing I would do is I would pick up the phone and call up Chad Pennington. That's the first thing I would do. And I just said a few seconds ago I would not bring a neophyte coach, but I would bring in Chad Pennington. In a heartbeat. He has to be somewhere in that coaching circle to run the offense. Him and Aaron Rodgers putting their minds together, that'd be sweet for 1 year. But you also got to develop the QB that's going to take over as well. I wouldn't say you should do a full rebuild. You still got young players on this team. But somebody has to fix Ahmad Gardner. Someone has to fix him. If you bring back Rex Ryan 2.0, who's to say that he can't bring out the best out of Ahmad Gardner? Maybe we could call him Sauce again. Just maybe. Just maybe we could go back to calling him Sauce. But right now, for my sake, he's just Ahmad Gardner. You heard? Ahmad Gardner. Ridiculous. Now I'm gonna recap that football game. The Jets had a lead, 27-22. Kicked the field goal. Now people are gonna say if Ulbrich should have went for the touchdown, but when you had a top 5 defense over the past 2 to 3 years, you're gonna trust the talent on your defense to stop the team from going down the field to get a touchdown with less than 2 minutes left to play. But how the hell the first play they get 30 yards on the first play of the 2-minute drive? How does that happen? And guess who they did it on? Ahmad Gardner. That's who they did it on. I don't know what coverage he was playing, But if you listen to Bart Scott on the press conference after the game, the technique was poor. That should have never happened. And when I heard Ahmad Gardner talking the press conference, talking about he was in a poor coverage, so can someone tell me, someone who watches football, can someone explain to me what the fuck is a poor coverage? Any of my guys from Unity High School who played football, can someone explain to me what that coverage is? Because according to Bart Scott, who should be a coach somewhere, right? Call it a cover two. Cover two, the cornerback's supposed to jam the receiver towards the sideline. Ahmad Gardner, according to Bart Scott, I saw the play on the replays again. He was looking for the fucking ball. He was turned inside instead of paying attention to the receiver and push to make sure he push him out of bounds within the 5 yard, within the 5 yards. Yeah, opportunity to do that. Another wasted great game by Breece Hall, who in essence is carrying this offense right now. Yeah, Devontae Adams had some catches. Guys got a touchdown, I believe, in that game. Gary Wilson didn't have a good game. I think he had 4 receptions for like 48 yards or something like that. But like I said, I didn't write no notes to the podcast, so don't quote me on the stats. I'm on this podcast out of emotion right now. Out of emotion. It's not a happy emotion. Knowing that your team is still displaying dysfunction after so many years. Parcells came in 97, fixed that. Fixed that for nearly, can I say, guys, for about 18 fucking years, the New York Jets had a top 10 offensive line. For 18 fucking years. You would go from Mawai to Mangold, straight into Mangold. You had DeBrickashaw Ferguson holding it down for 10 years on that left side of the offensive line. And they plugged everybody in around Mangold and DeBrickashaw. Whether it was Damian Woody, whether it was Faneca. Even was there Kareem McKenzie. Kareem McKenzie played better than that guy? Was that Tyrod Thomas? That was playing left tackle. Kareem McKenzie played better than him. He played for the Giants and they win 2 Super Bowls as the right tackle for the New York Giants. This is a mess that it was created by the owner for the owner. If you get what I'm saying. My thing is do you guys believe that he's actually cleaning house before he goes back to Great Britain to become the ambassador again? What's your guys' thoughts on that? That's the question I want to leave you guys as I'm getting ready to segue over to a little bit of Knicks talk, and the podcast will end. You know what I'm saying? Left the links in the chat. If you guys want to jump in the podcast, go right ahead. Go right ahead and join me. I am live, guys. So, what you guys thought on this? I wish I find that person who wrote that, who put that on Facebook about possibly Curtis Martin being a team president, or the whole aspect of having a team president to run the operation for Woody. Because apparently, Woody does not know football. If he did, he probably would not have fired Saleh the way at the timing. It's not about him firing Saleh. Saleh was not a good coach. But the fact of the matter is the timing of the firing is what threw the season into a tailspin. Now, I mentioned on the podcast when I spoke about that, I was not sure if that was a good idea. I believe I mentioned that on that episode. I truly believe that I did not believe that was a great idea at the time. Ulbrich is way over his head. He needs to relinquish the defensive play calling to somebody else. Let him focus on being a head coach, not a head coach / defensive coordinator. It's not working. The defense is not playing up to par. They can't stop the freaking run. You're wasting. If it's not Quentin Williams making a play, who else is making plays on that team? Nobody. It was pretty much the Williams brothers making all the plays. Mostly he got a neck injury. Act like he don't want to come back either. Why would you come back to this trash that you see on the field? You can't waste great performances by Breece Hall out there playing his heart out. Devontae Adams just came in on a trade. He's playing his heart out. Gary Wilson playing his heart out. You can't do that. Can't waste performances like that. Not at all. But this is my thoughts on where the Jets should go right now. If I was Woody Johnson, whoever posted that on Facebook, I wish I could find your name to give you credit for that. With the team president position, as well as having installing Curtis Martin in that position to run the football operations. Let him select the GM. Even though Phil Savage is the interim right now, former GM of the Cleveland Browns, but you're going to need Curtis Martin up in there to provide some respectability back to the New York Jets, a guy who still has connections within the NFL, who could possibly hire a good GM, possibly from the Parcells school to run the team as a GM, and possibly get another Parcells / Bill Belichick guy to be a head coach. This is where Mike Vrabel comes into play as the next New York Jets head coach. It comes into play. Even though Rex Ryan, I like Rex Ryan. I like his fire. But the reason why his team struggled because he did not pay. He wanted no parts of the offensive room. Just want to focus on his defense. Just want to be a best defense. You know what I'm saying? But he could probably come and fix this team. But don't let him get involved with the GM stuff. You got to find a strong-minded GM to go with Rex. Very strong-minded GM. I say, without the success of this particular head coach from the NBA, like Larry Brown, I'm not saying Rex Ryan is Larry Brown, but Rex Ryan does have the mentality of Larry Brown of trying to get the plays that he wants, and you see the GM that's going to tell him no, you can't have that, no. If you bring back Rex Ryan, there's also John Gruden to take a look at. And also someone mentioned today on WFAN, I believe it was either Sal Licata, mentioned Brian Flores, the former Miami head coach who's coaching the defense over there in Minnesota, possibly as a candidate for the New York Jets. Another guy that came from the Belichick tree. And Belichick came from Parcells. So you bring in Curtis Martin as team president. He's going to get probably a GM in there, probably Scott Pioli and Scott Pioli and Mike Tannenbaum to be the tandem in that GM space. Possibly, hey, you probably bring in Bill Belichick to be the GM. You never know. But we all know why Bill Belichick is not coming to the New York Jets. He does not like Woody. And as you can see, with the moves that Woody Johnson has been making, you definitely can see why, right? You can see that. You can see why. So when the dust is cleared, if I was GM, I'm gonna put myself as GM, team president, football operations of New York Jets. Right now, I'm not sure how much draft picks I have this season. I know we traded some away, but you got to focus on getting a big. First of all, the coach that I would like to bring in, I would like to talk to him about his defensive formations. That's going to dictate to me how I'm going to draft the defense. You do need a defense. You need two safeties. Not no filling the gap guys. You need safeties that's going to be there to go along with Ahmad Gardner and whoever is the other side of the cornerbacks. I truly believe DJ Reed is not coming back to this team after this season. He's not coming back. A big mistake letting go of Bryce Hall. Big mistake. Because Bryce Hall did feeling good last year. He finally routed into form. Brandon Echols has been injured this season. And another thing too, whatever happened to Michael Carter, the fourth, whatever surname or suffix he has behind his name. What happened to him this season? But I would definitely, let's just say I bring in a coach that's going to be a 3-4 alignment type of coach, right? Which Variable could very well be. Variable's pretty much the hybrid, so he could do both. But my job as a GM, I got to protect the production of Quinnen Williams. I got to protect the production of Quincy Williams. Quincy Williams may be too small for the 3-4 defense as middle linebacker. Okay, he could be too small. I think he is too small. But the guy has a motor on him, and he'll run across sideline to sideline, which is great. Okay. You're gonna need another D tackle. You need a run stuffing D tackle, a disruptive force, and D tackle to go with Quinnen Williams, and the returning of Jermaine Johnson next season from the Achilles, which again that happened on the MetLife turf, mind you. Okay, do that. You got to draft. You got these safeties. You got to draft. You got to find a superstar safety, which Joe Douglas on his resume has chased out two safeties we had here in Jamal Adams and Marcus May because he didn't draft them. Well, Jamal Adams did get us Garrett Wilson. We got some solace out of that. But Marcus May, you haven't replaced Marcus May at all. Got to draft the quarterback. Got to draft the quarterback. I know we got Jordan Travis. We got to draft another quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is after the next season he's done. I wouldn't even entertain as a GM of New York. I probably would not even entertain him being my quarterback after next season. The reason I'm keeping him for next season is because of the cap hit that's going to happen if he retires. We trade him or we cut him. That cap hit is going to handcuff us in signing free agents. We got Gary Wilson coming up on a contract. We got Breece Hall coming up on a contract. We got Ahmad Gardner coming up on a contract. Well, he's not going to get signed until he shows me he could go back to his all pro player. So we can go back and call him Sauce. But right now, Ahmad Gardner is what it is. It's what it is. So on that note, I'm going to let's talk about a little bit of Giants. Let's talk about a little bit of Giants because they had a bye week this week. Then they did not lose a game this week, which is good. But as news come out of it that possibly Tommy DeVito is going to be the starting quarterback coming back off the bye. Tommy DeVito at times looked very good with the New York Giants. Looked very good. But is he a long-term solution at the quarterback position for the New York Giants? The Giants got a lot of work to do. So still got to find. They also got to work on the offensive line that can stay on the field. Andrew Thomas, back-to-back seasons, injuries that took him out for majority of the season. They need to get better. The defense is fine. I mean, they just probably need some. They can rush the passer. Dexter Lawrence is playing great. What do the Giants need on defense? Would I say more linebackers outside of Burns and the others? Probably that. But else, you got to give the Giants the credit. You got to give the Giants some sense of solace and empathy because they are in a very tough NFC East division. Washington is playing great. Philadelphia, since they got Saquon Barkley, man, listen, that's a bad man right there, Saquon Barkley. I tell you, put him with a better team, with a better quarterback, and with some receivers and the offensive line. You see what that boy's doing right now? Could be MVP. Offensive MVP. The way he's playing. I'm not lying to you guys. Could be MVP. So on that note, I'm going to leave football alone. I want to talk a little bit of New York basketball, a little bit, because I want to save this. I want to save this New York Knicks talk for when I have my special guest host Matthew joining me from Jacobin Sports Show. I want to save it so we can me and him can sit there and really chit chat about the New York Knicks. After a slow start, going win one, lose one, win one, lose one, the Knicks have the same record as they did the first 14 games as last year, 8-6. Cat caught Anthony Towns, right? When I said I did not like the trade for Carl Anthony Towns because I wanted to see how the team looked with Julius Randle with the full squad healthy. Now I'm like, fuck that shit. We got the right guy. We got the right guy on this team. Because the thing was about Carl Anthony Towns, when the ball gets in his hands, the offense does not stop. Players are moving. There's a lot of more emotion in the offense. OG Anunoby is becoming more of an offensive player this season he ever had in previous seasons. Mikal Bridges, he was struggling early from the three-point line. All of a sudden, his mid-range game, which would make Michael Jordan very happy. Mikal Bridges' mid-range game is near perfection. Near perfection. So I don't know why people are complaining about we traded up 5 first-round picks for him. That was too much. Do you guys remember this guy averaged nearly 25 points a game with Brooklyn? Then he was traded over to the New York Knicks, where you had Brunson, Cat. The two-man scorer is going to dominate the ball to score. Of course, he's going to take a dip in points per game. But when that man was dropping 20-something points a game, he dropped 20 points back-to-back. The Knicks didn't lose. The offense is moving. Everybody's contributing. Even the rookies, Kolick and Dadier, contributing, playing great defense. Dadier and Kolick playing some great defense. It makes it hard for him to get playtime because Cameron Payne is playing some great basketball coming off the bench for the New York Knicks, which is enabling Brunson to not have to play 46 minutes per game. That is definitely helping out. And I will not trade Cameron Payne right now. Let's not make any more trades, New York Knicks. Let's keep the team the way it is. I think this team is good. This team is the way it is right now is good. We just got to wait for Precious Achiuwa to come back off from the injury list. Got to wait for Mitchell Robinson to come off the injury list and see what we got and run with it. And run with it. The only guy I'm really disappointed in is Jericho Sims. That's the only guy I'm disappointed in. This supposed to be his time for him to show what he can do. I mean, the past 2 games he was better, but Hawk Porty, man, when that boy's in that game, it's a difference. It's a big difference. This guy deserves playing time. Another rookie contributing. Maybe Thibodeau needs to change his mindset about playing rookies because he got 3 good ones right now that could contribute right now. But they need the ball. They need time on the floor to develop. Deuce McBride has been out for a couple of games for an injury. You know what I'm saying? I believe it was a hamstring. They said he was sick, then he had a hamstring situation. We hope he goes back to really help this team. It's going to definitely cut into the time of Kolick and Dadier, of course, when he comes back. We need Deuce McBride, man. We need him. So, like I said, I want to divulge too much into Knicks basketball. I hope to have Matthew with me either later this week or possibly next week to talk about Knicks basketball. That's what I'm going to shoot for. That's what I'm going to shoot for. So, guys, on that note, we're going to end the podcast. It's been blessed to have you guys on the show. Definitely take a look at my previous podcast before this, which I did on Sunday, recapping Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. We spoke a little bit about decision 24 with the number 45 coming back as number 47. Definitely check out that podcast as well. I'm going to be developing the trailer either today or tomorrow, so you guys can definitely see that trailer. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's your man Big Dom signing off on this podcast. I hit you guys up on another episode very soon. Have a good night. Stay blessed. Peace.